What weren't they doing before you got there? Because I used to take over car dealerships and crush their numbers because they weren't turning every customer, they weren't logging anybody, they weren't following up, they weren't doing the basics and the fundamentals. So I would figure out and assess quickly as I could what of the fundamentals weren't they doing, and I'd implement those immediately. That's what I'd focus on immediately. Why? Because dude, if I just hired you to be my sales director, you better make a big impact quick if you want me to be impressed. Running your pie hole and saying you're getting your feet wet and blah 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 blah, like you got people that hire sales directors and hear that, all they're thinking is yeah whatever, let me see something, change something, do something, fix the culture if you got to fix the culture, set the pace, increase the activity. And how do we do that? Well, we do it by ultimately the fundamentals. Folks, welcome to Closer School. Dario, welcome. This is your first one. These are very simple. We're just getting on here every single Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific to learn how to get better at sales, closing, persuasion, and ultimately become a more professional salesperson. Why? Well, I believe, quite frankly, if you're going to be successful in life, you're 100% going to sell something to somebody. Now, as I was saying earlier, I'm downstairs doing this 3-day event where I'm learning some stuff. And Renee's down there learning some of the stuff as well. And I said, hey, Renee, why don't you, I said, I'm going to do Closer School. He said, you want some company? I'm like, well, dude, that'd be stupid. People pay this guy freaking thousands of dollars to go in there and teach, and he's offering me for free. So I wouldn't miss that opportunity for you guys. So I got Renee here. We're going to go back and forth, shoot the shit. He's going to teach a little bit of stuff he knows. We're just going to comment on some things. But mainly, what I want to talk about today is at the end of the day, how are we making more money? How do we make more money? Period. Well, again, I can talk theoretically. Theoretically, we're just going to shake more hands, make more money. But how do you get down to that? How do you get down to shaking hands? When you do shake a hand, do you feel awkward? And you got to be honest with yourself. Do you feel awkward? Because if you feel awkward, we got to go correct that problem first. What do you think, Renee? You're muted. Renee, you're muted.
Is that good?
No, there you go.
I think awkwardness is a requirement for growth. Anything that you do at first, you're going to feel awkward at. If you're doing something and you divert to instantly being a master, it's like riding a bike for the first time. You're not going to ride it at first the first time. Learning how to do the class, like the classes we're learning right now. Awkward, I feel uncomfortable.
Okay, well, but hey, I want you
it's
to...
a short-term thing.
If you hear me say anything, I want you to interrupt no matter what. In other words, especially if you disagree. But I want this to go back and forth between you and I and the rest of the group here. Now, unless you're making $1 million or more per year selling something, then don't really need to hear much out of you. Why? Well, because, I don't need to learn that. I need to learn how to make millions. And so if anyone's doing millions, and by the way, I am, if anyone's doing millions, my question is, how are they doing it? What are the tactical things we can do as individuals to go make, twice as much money this year, 2023? Because I don't know if you guys are aware or not, but you better start freaking worrying about money, and then you better take that money and go get guns and ammo. Come out! You know what I'm saying? Maybe not over in Munich, Germany, my friend Dario, but right here in the old United States of America. Okay, don't worry about Bitcoin and all the bullshit they're trying to get you to put your money in, right? They're trying to get you to be distracted that they're de-dollarizing America. And if that happens and money is worthless, all rich people are now equal to poor people. Why? Because all your money's gone, dude. Can you imagine someone that's been rich their whole life, has tons of money in the bank, tons of resources, they can bribe anybody, they get in the way of the land because of their riches. And then the dollar's no longer valuable, crashes. So they're no longer rich anymore because when they go to the bank machine says, sorry, not in service. And we call the bank, nobody answers. The whole world's in chaos. What do you think is going to be valuable? A chunk of gold? You think a big old chunk of gold is going to be your answer? And not only that, what if you have a bar of gold and you want to hire Joe to do something and you have a bar of gold? What are you going to give it to him and say, you owe me? Or are you going to freaking, bust off a little chunk of it?
Yeah.
No, okay, trust me. All you need, if the dollar collapses and the world goes to hell, is guns and ammo.
Bullets, baby.
Yeah, because with guns and ammo, dude, I'll come get anything else I need and want, including your shit. So if you're one of those dudes that are thinking, oh, I'm going to go ahead and put all my shit into assets so I have, property and farms and homes and things. Guys, if the shit hits the fan, somebody with a gun's going to take that shit from you. So you better have one. Why? Well, don't you want to at least go down blazing? Like, dude, you ain't going to come take my shit without a fight. I'm not just going to freaking open up and be a punk bitch where the whole world knows, hey, go to Bradley's house. Well, there ain't nothing there. Everyone already jacked him. No, that's not going to be the story. The story is going to be someone showed up there twice. You better go there strapped. You want his shit. Hey, I want someone to think like that. Like, dude, you better think twice before you go to Bradley's house, bitch. Okay, you better be strapped going out there, dude. That's a fact. Why? Well, because he don't give a rat's ding dong. Like, dude, supposedly you got to like shoot people outside your house and then drag them inside. Say that they were inside. But anyway, I get off track. As you all know, we're back to sales and persuasion. So, Renee, go back and forth with me, especially if you disagree, because I'm going to say things.
You said awkwardness, you got to fix it. I agree, but
I said how to fix it. I said how would they fix it? I already know that they're awkward. People are awkward. That's why they don't want to be. Well, hold on.
Yeah, but I think the mindset begins with the mindset, because you said your mindset, habits, and skill sets. And so the mindset one, and I'll just give you 1 minute on mindset on this, which is one, awkwardness is a requirement for growth. So when you're awkward, most people run from it, run towards it.
All right, maybe we can do a hot seat. We could pick somebody and just do a couple hot seats. People like the old hot seat game. See if they can stand. But everybody knows here so far, other than maybe Dario, what I think about overcoming an objection. Because if you can't overcome an objection, guys, you're not going to do very well in sales. Why? Because you're going to get an objection. So if you don't know how to overcome an objection and move on down the road, you're going to be stuck. So I think everyone is familiar with, well, that would be like high level advanced shit. You know what I'm saying? I agree with you. The best way to handle an objection is to not get it. But unfortunately, we get it no matter. You can't. Again, theoretically, Renee, I agree with you. It would be nice not to get it at all, but it is impossible to believe that you can be such a graceful, slick ass son of a bitch that nobody's ever going to object, because they will. And when they do, because they will, I want you to be able to handle it.
So, Brad, real quick, I do have a question for you, because we started this conversation, you talking about how you wanted to make more money. We also started this conversation around the fact that you wanted to close more deals and that you were frustrated that you weren't hitting all your financial goals. Is that still true?
Oh, yeah, more than ever.
So, if it's okay, I live by a philosophy where I care enough to be unreasonable. Because I know you're late to go for the gym, but you know what I'd rather be able to do is tell your wife how you made triple the income, so that she can not only go to the gym, but she can go buy whatever she wants. At the end of the day, that's what you and I are talking about. But if you just give me a couple minutes, I want to understand specifically, because somewhere I must have missed it here. I must have missed it, because if I did my job right, you got to start thinking about what is it costing you not to get started. And so if I were to ask you this question, here's what I've come to learn. If you believe me, then do you trust what I can do, by the way? Because if you don't, then we got to start there.
Well, I don't know, bro. That's what I'm going to think about.
Yeah, but what's there to think about? That's what.
Dude, I don't even know you from Adam. You just pitched me to buy your shit, dude.
You didn't tell me that. I was just pitching you out of fucking blue.
Well, dude, what do you think we do every day as salespeople? We're pitching people. We're presenting our products and solutions. This ain't Crash House, bro, where they're entrepreneurs. Some of them are they're out there trying to sell houses. Marisol wants to know something, how she can close deals tomorrow with some.
Specifically in that case, though, if I haven't had the proper time to properly present, I'm not going to try to cram my presentation down in a minute.
Hey, there's a freaking bomb right there, folks. Hear what he just said? Say that again.
So if I know, so I was assuming in the role play that I'd already sort of presented the value, and he said on the close. So what he's telling me is I haven't even presented value yet. And so there is no close without the presentation of value.
Well, and here's what's funny, dude, is you don't necessarily know what I teach, because me and you don't sit there and compare notes about our sales opinions. But if you guys ask, or if you ask anyone who knows me, what do I say? You got to build the value. My question is, how do you build the value if you didn't ask any questions? Better yet, what if you asked the right questions, but you didn't listen to the answers? Because there's so many salespeople out there right now, they will literally think that talking is their job. They are there to sell somebody. Folks, you're not there to sell anybody. Okay? If you get rid of the word sales out of your head and you replace it with the word help, the vibration that you carry, the tone scale at which you reside is going to change. Why? Because helping, the desire to help somebody will change your vibration from where it is when you're trying to sell somebody. So if your intention is to sell them to get a commission, your vibration is different than if you're trying to help them to help them. Isn't that weird?
So there's no way in that moment, you got to make sure you're presenting. I learned this a long time ago, is never allow someone to make a decision based on too little information. Never allow them to make a decision based on too little information. That means if you've got only 2 minutes to present something, don't present. Your close has shifted from trying to close on your product to closing on a date, time, and a place that actually is conducive to your presentation. And that's what we call a commitment objective. Like your whole sales process is built of these little minor commitment objectives. And so if I haven't even got a date, time, and a place, stop trying to sell your product and service in that short time period. You got to be able to sell that next incremental step to say, well, when would be a good time? Because last I heard, this was important to you. And I want to make sure that I give you enough time to explain to you how specifically I might be able to help get you there, or how I can get you there. And so get that date, time, and a place locked before you start cramming That's the whole problem with the whole 30-second personal commercial or the elevator speech is they look at this and they go, okay, well, you got 30 seconds to sell your product. You're not going to sell your product in 30 seconds. You're not. But you know what you can sell? You can sell 10 seconds outside the elevator. Well, you did enough in that 30 seconds for them to go, wait, explain that more to me. And then those 10 seconds that you take might give you another 15 seconds. And after those 15 seconds, you might get the business card and say, you know what, I need to learn more about this. And in that moment, I would create a false time constraint and be like, you know what, I know I'm in a rush too, I know you're in a rush, but we'll get together and chat about it. And you be the one to leave that moment, but leave it on a high and with something there and make sure you get that lead.
Hey, and by the way, he's coming at it from a neuroscience perspective. He's talking about human behavior shit. Like you just said, create a false time. What'd you just call it?
False time constraint.
Yeah, like false time constraint. What the hell is that?
So if you think about it, the pressure, look at it in dating, you look at it in selling, you look at it in everything, it's that someone's going to take my time. Like, oh my God, are they just going to pitch me till I buy? And so the stress level starts going up. And the moment I say, you know what, hey, I've only got a minute here because I've got to get going, all of a sudden that whole fear, resistance.
But you guys see what he did? The false time constraint.
So when you can do that, now if that fear drops, they're open to an idea. Now, the other piece is you can't give a false time constraint, not stick to it.
What do you think of this? Is this a time constraint? If I say, let me ask you this.
Say that again.
Let me ask you this. Like, tell me you got to leave.
I got to get going.
Understood. But let me ask you this.
Yeah, I think that's great.
See, in other words, guys, I could sit there for 5 or 10 minutes straight with someone that has to leave by just introducing but let me ask you this. And then
look at he has to leave. You know what all that means? Is something else is more valuable. How many times have you been? This has happened to me where somebody says you got 20-minute presentation. I'm the keynote speaker. You got 20 minutes. And I was there. I was presenting to a group of CEOs, and the head of the group came to me as I was 15 minutes in, slid something across and said, "I canceled the next 3 speakers. Keep going." So what happened? There was a time constraint on the agenda, but the value being delivered far exceeded their agenda.
Yeah, out of curiosity, folks, put a 1 in the chat room if you're an independent business owner. In other words, you're learning sales because you're an entrepreneur and you know you need to sell something. And put a 5 if you work for somebody else where you're not able to raise the price. You're not able to do that because it's not your shit. You're just selling something. Okay, a couple of 1s, a couple of 5s. Damn, I was hoping to see what was the most. So far, I think business owners, like entrepreneurs, mostly. If you guys are listening to the replay, DM us and send it in. Because again, 1 is you're a business owner. You just want to learn how to become a more slick, badass closing machine, more persuasive. Stay up latest, greatest, so you can use those whether you're selling someone or whatnot. Because if that's the case, then you can change your price. But if you're not, But you're not able. They're not able to change their price, dude.
Negotiate a better salary?
Salesmen don't get salary.
I'm not saying change their price. I'm thinking they can. So I look at that, and it's a good point. What I'm just looking at is I can then demand better products and services. I can go back and demand, or I can go and not even demand. I can go out and get a better job. I can go out and do something, raise my personal value. That's what I mean by raise my price. So if I'm selling myself, maybe there's a product with a better commission. Maybe there's something that has maybe an override included. But the more value you bring, the more that you can command from the marketplace, period. That's law.
Yeah, it looks like more entrepreneurs than actual employee-based salespeople. That's good. And from the like Paul Castaneda's in here. He said he sells other people's products. What do you sell, Paul?
I sell title insurance.
Title insurance, like old Brad DeMint.
Yes, I actually work with your boy Albert in Phil over at Ambiance.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm knocking on realtors' doors all day long. Realtors, lenders, and escrow.
Okay, so Renee, give him a tip to help him sell more tomorrow.
What is he selling again?
He's selling title insurance services, probably through realtors and people that are doing loans.
So title is a cash cow business, and what's crazy about title is that there's no real point of decision when they use you, because it's not like you're not what you're selling is not like selling title first. I mean, you're not selling title. You're selling the one that people remember at the point of sale. You're selling the one that is most convenient in that time. And so how do you become that person is the big piece. And so one of the things, I've worked a lot in mortgage and real estate, so I understand this piece. And a long time ago in a mortgage company, and back in the day, I look at what we call the value chain. The value chain. Who are all the people that are touching my customer? And how can I influence that moment? Whether it be an appraiser, we train appraisers to show up and go, oh yes, Mr. Wear a logo sheet. Hey, before I come in, I'm going to take my shoes off because we want to respect your home. And they say, oh, you work with Paul? Man, Paul's one of the best. Anyways, let's take a look at your home. Just that little moment, little drop there. We would train them.
Right.
But now you can't control the appraiser anymore. But now we say, okay, title. What if you could, because title is a huge referral source.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge referral source. It's also a huge recruiting source if they're smart for the loan officer and the realtor. And so the title, what if you went and say, hey, I'm not selling you title. I'm selling you an increased value chain. I'm selling you more referrals, meaning we play a critical role in your client experience, whether people love it or hate it, because we're at that moment where people are signing paperwork. We have a captive audience of your client. And one of the things we love about you, Mr. and Mrs. Broker, Mr. and Mrs. Loan Officer, we love how you do business, and we would love to tell your story. In fact, I did some research on you, and here's what I've learned about you. And all of a sudden, what if you as a title rep came and told that person's story, and they go, holy shit, this guy's been looking at me. He's been watching my videos. He's been doing X, Y, and Z. Now all of a sudden, it's not title anymore. I got a partner at the point of sale, at the point of close there. So understanding what is that thing you're actually solving in that moment, and you go and you solve that. And that's unique value, by the way. Because who looks at price in your deal? No one's looking at price because you're all basically the same. You're all the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And then I'd look at saying, okay, how can we make your process more efficient? Now there's a technology play in there. Is it easy for them to click? What other ancillary services? I know you guys are pretty regulated too, so you got to make sure that you stay within those bounds. So make sure that everything I say is run through compliance.
Yeah.
Right? But
I
I have title companies that bring me in to speak all the time.
Yeah, and we do that as well. We have a lot of outside sources that we bring in to, we get a group of realtors together, whether it's on an ADU specialist or a HUD specialist, someone to come in and to talk to agents about stuff that they could take advantage
of. Oh, he's frozen.
While he comes back, Brandon, what do you sell?
Check cashing POS.
Check cashing and point of sale systems.
Correct.
Now again, I don't know if you were here. I don't know if you came late, but you know who you've been listening to Renee, correct?
Yes.
All right. So Renee, tell him like, or help him in that particular industry. Give him a little tip or a nudge.
Tell me about how you go about a sale right now. Give me 30 seconds.
They all come in as a lead, really. So it's kind of like,
You're just getting a lead.
I
Where'd
just
the
call
lead
them.
come from?
We have something online from our website.
Are you familiar? Are you familiar exactly with what it says?
No.
Okay, so here's a tip, just that I can interject. Always be aware of what your ads actually say and what their call to actions are, so you can be you can receive them with more grace. If you don't even know what they're talking about, and then you answer the phone even slightly different, I'm telling you, it ruins an experience. So, like for example, if the call to action says call one of our sales reps for an immediate checkup, and someone calls and says, "Can I get a checkup?" and you're like, "A checkup? What are you talking about?" Like, boom, buzz killed. But if you knew it said that, you could pick it up. They say, "I need a checkup." "Oh, fantastic! How can I help you?" I'd love to get you in ASAP. So like there's like a congruency there that stays, smooth in the relationship, and the experience remains well. So always, Brandon, go figure out exactly how those leads are being generated and what's being said to them, so you know why they're on the phone with you. And then you can take it from there. But dude, the good news is you're getting leads handed to you, right?
Mm-hmm. They actually come in. We get an email, and the email will say their name, who their company is, and then what they're requesting. So if they want a demo, or if they're just asking for pricing or something like that. So that's essentially how I know when I call them what to talk to them about.
What makes you unique?
The interface is very simple. The people that we're partnered with, we're heavily, like we work with the compliant, stringent states like Florida.
Yeah. So my opening statement would be, because I'm like Brad, I like to know what I'm selling. People buy for their own reasons, not yours, right? And so the moment that somebody starts speaking right away, you're assuming that you know what their reasons are. One way to do this is to know where the leads come from, because they've expressed some sort of interest based on something. And I'd want to know what that is. I might say something, "Hey, before we get started, I find that when I talk to people, it's for one of two reasons. One is they're new and they're looking to get started in the business. They want a way to make money at point of sale. Second is they have a solution in place right now and they're not satisfied with it." Which of those two camps do you think you follow into? Now that will determine where you go. They're brand new. And if they're brand new, I say, well, first and foremost, let me congratulate you on starting a new business. How exciting. Are you enjoying it so far? I want to get to know them. Because right now, in today's world, if you understand what's changed, people value connection more than anything. So connect with them. They've got choices. They can Google 1,000 of you out there, and they'll pop up. But how many of those asked them how the business was and shared in the excitement in that moment to say, "You're starting a business? Man, that's awesome." Realtors, I tell this all the time, when you're talking to somebody and they say, "Hey, I'd like to look at home," I say, "Oh, cool. Are you in the search?" They go, "Yeah." I go, "Man, how's the search been going for you? How exciting. Isn't it fun looking for a new home?" And just like forget what you're selling and just listen for a minute. They're going to tell you so many things. So typically these people, are they new or are they dissatisfied with something?
It's a little bit of both, to be honest with you.
Okay, pick one that you want to go down the path. Pick one.
Well, I've been getting a lot of new ones lately.
A lot of new ones? And what do you say at that point?
No, I just ask them if they've, come up with their bank account, if they have their money service business license, pretty much, and just kind of let them talk and just go from there. And
Perfect.
explain what we offer.
So one of the things for me, again, think about the avatar of somebody who's new. You can predict the fact that they're probably nervous and they're scared. They're probably new at this. Probably, right? You got to make sure you know this. If they're a pro, they're just looking for a price, you got to be careful, right? But assuming that they're new and they haven't done this, you might say, well, so in your search so far, I'm assuming you come up with a point of sale. What brought you to us? How'd you find us? I'd want to know that. Okay, well, I clicked on this link. Okay, good. Maybe you know that from the information. Wonderful. How familiar are you with this process? And they might say, well, I'm not at all. I just know I need one. Or they might say, very familiar. This is my 5th one. I just need to know X, Y, and Z. At that point, I'm constantly validating. If it was somebody that knew something, their 5th one, I'm like, wonderful. I love dealing with pros. Give them a validation, compliment them at that moment. If they're brand new, I might say something like, you know what? I love it. I love working with new entrepreneurs. I can walk you through this process. Both of those statements, 2 different markets, 2 different needs, both are validating.
Because now all of a sudden, what's happening? If I'm hearing that there's nothing better than a human to feel validated by somebody else and what they're going through, right? If they're a pro, validate that they're a pro. If they're new, help them through and build comfort through that process. This applies to any business. So now let's just say, how would the answer be typically? You say, how much do you know about this process so far? Let's say it's somebody new. What do they typically say to you?
Well, I kind of know a little bit. I got a cousin that, he has a store and he cashes checks pretty often. So he kind of explained it to me.
Love it. Is he the one that turned you onto it?
Yeah. Looks like he makes a lot of money. So he looks like he's doing well for himself.
Yeah, I'll tell you, man, it's a fun business. It really is a fun business. Well, so now at that point, where would you go at that point? But you notice what I want you to get is like that connection though. See what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You intermingle your strategy with the connection that you're making along the way. You can do both of those.
Well, at that point, I would just ask him if his cousin has a software. And if he doesn't, there's not really a lot of companies actually out there that have the check cashing software. So there's a few of the big ones and we're one of them. Awesome. So I usually try to get them on a live demo so they could actually see the differences and just show them how simple our software is compared to other people.
I mean, you guys such a simple sales process here. At that point, it says, here's what's exciting about us. I love that as a phrase, and I think everybody should use that more often. Here's what I love about what we do. Here's what's exciting about us. That's called a frame, right? It's just framing something up before you say it. Versus, here's what we do. We have a technology that does this. You would say, here's what I love about what we do. We're one of the few people that actually has a software that does just this, versus trying to piecemeal other softwares and repurpose them to do this. Ours was built specifically for this. Now, here's the best part. I can show it to you in about 5 minutes. You buy a Zoom call? Let's get on right now, or whatever your call to action is. So at this point, you're not trying to sell the product or close a deal. You're trying to close a demo. And if they've come to you and you have a delightful attitude and you're validating of them and you know what you're talking about, you should be closing 100% of those. Do you ever get, well, what's the price?
All the time.
Does your price stagnate or does it change? Does it depend on certain things?
If they have a lot of stores, then they'll work and get a better deal. But typically it's pretty much straightforward.
So do they ever come at you and just want price right away?
Yeah.
So there's a story you need to memorize. Have you heard of Alan Shepard?
No.
So Alan Shepard was the first American to enter space. And it was May 15th, 1961. He's sitting atop of the Redstone rocket on what they call the Freedom 7 mission. And the whole world is watching. Now think about it. This is the first guy going off into space, sitting on top of the big hunk of metal with rocket fuel and a bunch of engineers going, we think it's going to work this time. And a reporter got a chance to talk to him and say, Mr. Shepard, you're about to be launched off into space as the first American. The world is watching. We want to know what's going through your head. Share it with us. And his response will forever go down in history when he says, the fact that every part of this rocket was built by the lowest bidder. Because what happens is that shows that 2 points of a purchase. One is the moment of purchase where people are thinking budgets and time. Where probably you find yourself right now, Mr. Prospect. You're probably thinking of what's the price. You're probably comparing different things. But what oftentimes people forget is that time of performance. When you're sitting in front of a customer and you want this to be simple, or maybe a line of people, and people are impatient, and is that software working smoothly so you can get a hold of everyone? That's what we call the time of performance, when something does what it promises. So I can tell you this, as our prices range, I don't know enough about your business to do this, but one of the things I can tell you is that we focus on time of performance versus being the lowest bidder, because the last thing I want to do is a disservice to your business is giving you something that's substandard. Would you say that's fair?
Absolutely.
So do you see what we just did? That story, it's about somebody else in history, gave you a really good point about the lowest bidder is not the way you want to be. And it's not the game that you played. If you want to take it different, since this is a recording, I'll just give you another script. What's the name of your company?
Secure Check Cashing.
See, when Secure Check Cashing was founded, our founders were faced with a really tough decision. Did they want to build the cheapest product to sell it to everybody as a get-by product? And they didn't care if they had people coming in and out because they sold so much volume. Or did they want to spend a little bit more money and build the best one that was reliable, one that would integrate with everything and offer X, Y, and Z as well? And when they looked at those two pieces, the decision was easy. What they realized, it would be much easier to explain price one time than to have to apologize for bad service or that product not working forever. Can you see why it'd be important to make a decision like that? So that's a combination of several different scripts. And that last one was a Zig Ziglar script adapted to your business. But the whole point that we're talking about here is that all of you should be students of this kind of stuff, students of script, students of storytelling. And it should be memorized. That's what we call a bullet in the chamber, right? Somebody says something, you got something ready to go right in that moment. Alan Shepard's story. You should memorize the Alan Shepard story. You should memorize the price. It's a lot easier to explain price one time than apologize for poor service and bad quality forever. That should be a phrase that's just ingrained into your soul as a salesperson. And you know what they are? The way you ingrain them is you got to believe them first. The price objection happens internally before it happens externally.
Say that one more time.
The price objection.
No, the one before that.
Which part?
Better to give you a high price than apologize for poor service.
We knew it'd be easier to explain price one time than to have to apologize for your product not working or poor quality forever. I'm assuming that service is an important piece, correct? Then when something doesn't go wrong, they want to pick up the phone and call someone.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right?
All right, let's open it up for some questions, folks. We got about 15 minutes left. You got questions for Renee? Anybody got any specific questions for either me or Renee? And if I were you, I would ultimately find out what in your mind is bothering you, what can't you get past, what do you wish could happen, and we'll give 30-second to a minute answers on what we think you should do. Straight coaching. But you got to come with a question and or a situation. Like, again, if I were sitting in here, I would say, hey, I'm selling cars, because back then I was selling cars. I'm selling cars. I make 10 G's a month. I'd like to make 30 G's a month. What's the fastest way to get there? Well, my answer would be, again, based on some feedback, because it depends in some cases, but in the general sense, what do you think my answer is going to be? Do 3 times the work you're doing now. It's not rocket science. You guys, literally, you guys decide to go home at 5 o'clock. You don't have to. Make some more calls. If you guys just talk to more people, you'd close more deals. And what I learned on Closer School, you didn't learn shit other than to freaking work. If most salespeople in the world would just work, they'd make a shitload more money. Okay, but they don't work. They whine most of the time about the lead value and all this why baby shit, rather than figure out, hey, this is part of the deal. I need to figure out and manufacture a process and a system that can generate leads so I get leads. Because, again, dude gets leads handed to him. Man, when you get leads handed to you, dude, you're already a lucky son of a bitch right off the bat. Why? Well, because I grew up where I had to go find them. Like, no one just handed them to you. Which is why I said, man, I love this car business. Why? Well, because they'd come in to you, which is always the best. So ask the question like that. That way we can start giving you direct and concise coaching. Hey, you want to spend an hour a week with me helping you become a business badass? Well, check out my group in the link below. All right, we're going to start. And the way I see these in order is how I'm going to tell you to unmute. But go ahead, Dario, unmute.
What's up, Dario?
Yeah. Hey, I have a specific situation. I'm going to start a new job in June. So I had a little bit over a month, and I got a sales director position for an IT company. So my question for you is, what would you recommend me to focus on a director level, not on a sales kind of tactical? Because in some way I am okay doing it and improving, and I still need to do it because I'm going to create the whole department from zero. So I'm going to be doing both the strategic part as well as the tactical and hands-on job.
Are you familiar? Are you? How clear are you on the task at hand? Meaning, why did they hire? Are you clear on that?
Yeah.
What were you hired for? Usually, managers used to be hired to manage companies. Managers are now hired to change companies.
Hey,
what are you trying to do?
What's the question, Dario?
Yeah. So, I think in general, they should be
you're making a statement. Just give me the question.
Yeah, the question is, what would you pay attention or focus on the beginning, at least for the first 3 to 6 months, as a new sales director for a company?
Brand new.
Yeah.
Again, I'll answer, and then Renee, you answer. First
Gotcha.
thing, I mean, I'd be paying attention to is what weren't they doing before you got there? Because I used to take over car dealerships and crush their numbers because they weren't turning every customer, they weren't logging anybody, they weren't following up, they weren't doing the basics and the fundamentals. So I would figure out and assess quickly as I could what of the fundamentals weren't they doing, and I'd implement those immediately. That's what I'd focus on immediately. Why? Because, dude, if I just hired you to be my sales director, you better make a big-ass fucking impact quick if you want me to be impressed. Running your pie hole and saying you're getting your feet wet and blah, 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 like, people that hire sales directors and hear that, all they're thinking is, yeah, whatever, let me see something. Change something, do something. Fix the culture if you got to fix the culture. Set the pace, increase the activity. And how do we do that? Well, we do it by ultimately the fundamentals, the blocking and tackling. Renee, how would you answer that?
I agree 100%. Daryl, give me one focus. What are you trying to change there?
Yeah, but dude, this could go on forever. Okay. I want to answer. I want you. I know, but I want you to answer that question. What should he focus on?
I would go exactly what you said, because what Brad is telling you is you need to understand what needs to change. You're in the business of change and you're in management. And you're just going, I'm going to change things. Well, change what? What specifically needs to change? You're either moving a number up or down. Something's got to change.
In this specific case, there is nothing about sales. So it's like a company that have received referrals only for some years, and they want to start scaling up or start selling proactively as an outbound.
So you're trying to create proactive salespeople. Got it.
Yes.
Okay, so that's a massive switch, by the way. The first thing I would do is do an assessment of talent to see if you got the right people. Because somebody who is an order taker is very different than a sales professional. A call center rep is very different than a door-to-door rep. Somebody that's going out, being proactive about getting something is very different than somebody that sits and waits for the phone to ring. Both needed, both great, two different skill sets. There's a great test out there called the SPQ Gold, the SPQ FSA. It measures sales call reluctance. At the end of the day, you can measure presentation, you can measure closing skills, but if they didn't make a sales call in the beginning, you don't even have a chance to present or close. So you need to measure sales call reluctance. And if it's a call center or somebody that gets leads to come to them, I guarantee you, of the 16 types of sales call reluctance, they've got a big handful of them. And at that point, you got to ask yourself, is it worth more investing in training them, or do you have the wrong people? So you've got to do an assessment of talent, because it sounds like the job has changed. It used to be, hey, the leads come to us. Now we got to go out and get them.
Hey, I hate to interrupt this beautifulness, but we got more questions. We're running out of time. That's why, guys, listen, I don't mean to be the old dickhead, but I get to make the rules. And the rules are ask a question, like direct question. I don't want a big long ass story and then the question. I just want the question. And then we'll give you our two takes on it. If I need to ask questions or Renee needs to dive into the story, he'll ask a little bit. But just cut right to the chase and tell me what the question is. So let's go with Brandon. Brandon.
How do you get them to show up to the appointment after you've set it with them?
How do you get them to?
Yeah.
Well, again, this is my answer. 30 seconds or less. Someone time me if I need to. I don't think you get them to. I think you expect them to. Okay, once you set an appointment with me, I just expect that you're going to be there. If you're finding that people are not showing up as you've set the appointment, and it's like, dude, how do I get them there? They said it, but they're not showing up. Well, then you got to re-examine how you're setting the appointment, because, dude, what they're not setting an appointment, they're lying to you.
Agreed. What do you sell?
The check cashing software.
Oh, yeah, Don, we just talked about that.
Sorry.
Everything Brad said. And do you have systems and technology that does reminders, something that tells them, it makes it easy for them to show up? And have you added enough value in your check or appointment setting process for them to show up? Do you have, what's your percentage of, if you get like 50% people don't show up, do you know what percentage?
It's probably right around there.
So if 50% don't show up, I would double book myself every day. We used to double book everywhere. 2 appointments on every time zone. And if the presentation isn't all that long, they have somebody else that can do the presentation. But we would double book the time in your business. Anytime you're not presenting, you're losing money. So if you double book, And then if you got technology, go out there and reminders, give them something of value, show them a reason. Hey, by the way, we may say something like, by the way, if you show up to our first meeting, you get a 5% discount if it's that big. I don't know if you can do that. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna find out. That's a good one.
Yeah. But to me, it's close on the first deal, close on the first meeting, lower the amount of meetings you got to have. But if that many people are doing it, that means the leads aren't all that serious. So then double book them. That's what doctors do.
And that's why you wait, because when people show up, it's like they didn't even realize everyone would. All right, Caesar, what's your question?
Okay, so I'm struggling to get referral business from past clients.
I know, but listen, Broham, I don't mean to be a dick, but you're telling me a story. What's your question?
Yeah, so how do I build a relationship with these past clients and ask them for referrals without, I guess, reaching out to them anytime I like to ask for a referral?
Renee?
What do you sell?
Real estate.
Well, first, you're displaying what's called referral aversion. You said, how do I get a referral without reaching out and asking them? You won't. You won't.
Well, like not reaching out every time I reach out, asking for them. Like I want,
Well, then you should have 15 times you're reaching out to add value. And then ask that. If you're only reaching out for referrals, that's going to be hard. You'll get a percentage of those. But you're 88% more likely to get a referral during your process than afterwards. And here's the reason why. The moment that somebody has what they want, you become really of no value to them. But up until the moment that the house closes, they'll do anything to get that house to close. And so you begin the process in your presentation saying, Mr. and Mrs. Prospect, or home buyer, I'm so excited to get you in your new home. To do this, there's a lot of things that I have to do to make sure that your process goes smoothly. I got to manage the finance company. I got to make sure that the appraisal comes in right. I got a whole 147 things I've got to do. That doesn't leave me much time to go out there and promote my business. My goal is that I serve you so well that not only I get 5 stars, but you want to tell everybody it is about what we do. Because we know that the net worth of a renter is about $5,000, but the net worth of a homeowner is $220,000. I'm in the business of giving the gift of net worth to people. And if you can think of 5 people right now that you would like to hand a $220,000 check to of net worth, I would love to help them out during the process, not after.
Yeah, makes sense.
And you should know that research. I'm not even in your business and I know that research. You should know that. Cool. Keeping current matters. Go to kcmblog.com and subscribe to it. It'll tell you everything about how to do that right now. It's cheap.
Sick. Thank you.
Yeah. And it's free. There's a free version. Brad? Getting referrals?
Well, I was freaking texting. That was a long-ass answer. We're out of time now. Hey, what was the question again?
How does he get referrals as a real estate agent, but he doesn't like calling people and ask?
Well, it's very simple. Because you're obviously selling people, and you want the referrals from them. So when you sell that person, you will always, always, always ask for a referral before the deal is over. Right? That's just, again, one of those blocking and tackling. If you're not asking for a referral from every single one of your customers, just know that you're a very average, unprofessional salesperson. Why? Well, because if you were a salesperson, like professional, fucking deadly, there's not going to be an opportunity that you knowingly allow to go by you. And if you do not ask every single one of your buyers for a referral, then you are blatantly throwing money away. And you better not call yourself a salesperson, or at least a professional one, because that means that you are not doing what it takes. Those are the fundamentals, bro. So not to beat your ass around it, but at the end of the day, if you're telling me that you want to know how do I get referrals without calling anybody, you get referrals because you don't have to call somebody. You should be getting the referrals before you leave that person. In other words, when you're selling them the house, hey, dude, here's what I'd say. Like, Caesar, let's say I just finished, I'm doing business with you. We're saying our goodbyes. Maybe I still got to have the walkthrough paperwork signed off, your contracts, before you sign anything and, like, it's over, right? Don't you hand them the key?
Yeah, I typically do it when I hand them.
Okay, that's when I'd be asking for a referral. Now, before I give you this motherfucking key, people, and by the way, like, I'd be friends enough to say this. Like, I'd say, Caesar, before I give you this key, let me ask you a question. I make freaking a ton of dough knowing my industry. I need to know if you know of anybody looking to buy or sell a house. And by the way, if you know anybody that wants to sell a house or buy a house in the future, you're going to need to freaking ring me. Is that fair? They'll say, yeah, if I know anybody, right? And then, so who do you know now? Now, they might say, I don't know anybody, right? And then you're like, okay, well, let me know if you do. And then you only get them half the time. If you really want to get them all of the time, never ask them if they have referrals that want to buy something all by itself. You can ask that, but don't ask it all by itself. Then you flip the script and you see who wants to freaking sell their house for top dollar. And you know what? The person you're talking to might say, well, shit, I do. Well, you just bought this house. Would you be willing to sell it for top dollar? Well, yeah, I would. Well, dude, you just manufactured a customer out of a customer. Why? Just asking questions and asking basically not for referrals, but who wants to sell their shit. Like a car. Hey, you know anybody wants to buy a car? I don't really know. Hey, write down 5 names and phone numbers of who drives what, and I'm going to call them and see if I can offer to buy their car. We're in a crunch for used cars. I'm going to call your 5 friends and offer to buy their car. If any of them sell me their car, I'm going to send you to dinner. Fair enough? What's their names? Boom. You see what I'm saying? But anyway, so that's a 2-part answer. But the answer is, bro, you got to start asking for them when you're dropping off the key. You do not follow up and ask for referrals. A referral phone call is you already fucked up and it's been, you missed the time you should have asked. When? Before you finish, bro, you're asking for referrals. Not 1, not 2, not when it's convenient, not when you don't think they'll yell, not when you don't think they won't give you one. Every single time. And if you don't, guys, quit pretending that you want to be a badass. Okay? Period. That's such a that is such a simple one to do if you're refusing to do it, because that's what it is. You're refusing to do it. You already know to do it. So you're refusing to do it. Okay, then again, you should probably quit talking because you don't really want to be a badass, because badasses ask for referrals every time. Woo! I like that answer. Let's vote. Let's vote, folks.
It was a real specific time to ask for a referral. Even before then, it's upon conditional approval of the loan for the house. It's conditionally approved. It hasn't funded yet. So you call that client saying, hey, I got great news for you. Your loan has been approved. Let them celebrate. Then you go, but it hasn't funded yet. I still have about 50 things that we got to do to make it happen. For me to do that, I need to be 100% focused on your deal. Like I said before, now you just added value. I approved your loan. I need 5 people that we're going to give the same gift to. I'm in the business of trying to help raise net worth of this community. Who are 5 people? So that I can go focus on your loan. I'm going to get my team to call them and set appointments for the future. You can do that. There's a whole series of questions around that piece, but think about those moments in time when you're doing that.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks. Kept it offered too. That's great.
Beautiful. All right, we got Luis, and by the way, we're shutting it down after Paul, Amber and Paul. So we got right now Luigi. Go ahead, unmute.
Hey guys, how you guys doing? Nice to see you again, Renee and Brad. I have a question. What would be a good story to engage business owners to expand their team nearshore? So opposite to what the Alan Shepard story be. What can I say to, because I sell phone systems and now VAs, which also helps my phone system sell.
Now what?
So what's
virtual assistants?
Virtual assistant.
I might need a couple from.
All right, let's talk. I got them in Colombia, Costa Rica,
get it cheaper
and
than somewhere else.
Well, I'm in Colombia, Costa Rica, and Panama. So they're only in English and Spanish.
So what was your question though? You said something before, how to sell instead of Alan Shepard. It was what?
What would be a story? Because Alan Shepard was focused, and I guess in my mind, it was focused on American made, but it was the cheapest.
No, it was focused on lowest quality, lowest bidder. There's cheap VAs out there that won't do the work, and there's ones that maybe $2, $3, $5, $10 an hour more, but you get an MBA from somewhere else. Would you pay an extra $10 for an MBA?
Right. Well, what we have, they're all university graduates, and they have experience in the American market working with Amazon, Kohl's, Target, and other American brands.
Hey, let me interrupt real quick. What was the question, Luigi?
I want a story.
No. What was the question? Just spit out the story. I don't need the story. I want your question.
No.
He wants us to give him the story.
I know, but I want to hear it from you. Luigi, what's your question?
What would be a good story to encourage business owners to expand their teams in Latin America via nearshoring with VAs?
While wearing, Rolexes. I mean, that's pretty particular. But what you're saying to me is, what would be a good story? Well, what you want me to do is make up some story, right? I wouldn't recommend that you make up a story. I recommend that you identify a story that has and possesses the nature and qualities of the points you're trying to make. If you don't have any stories, then you can embellish a little bit and pretend a little bit and get creative and close your eyes and pretend, and then when it happens, pretend, and you say, listen, I'll give you a story. You didn't say if it was true or false. You didn't say if it was made up or not. Like right now, tell me if I'm lying or not. I'm going to give you guys a little story, okay? When I was 16, I got kicked out of my house for not mowing the lawn, right? So I basically grabbed my stuff and left my house and never returned ever. And since then, I was out on my own trying to figure it out. And because I was out at a young age trying to figure it out, it gave me a lot more experience and hardships and opportunities to learn than most people my age, which is why you should hire me as your consultant. Is that a lie or is that the truth?
That's the truth.
Okay, well then, what did I do? All I did is pick the story that would lend to whatever point I'm trying to make. Now, you can do it both ways. You can pick a story that you're fond of and you remember well. I remember when my grandfather and I used to go to the dump. You guys ever been to the dump? Remember the dump where you drive up and you throw your garbage into a big landfill filled with fucking other garbage? You guys ever seen one before? Who's thrown their shit in a dump before? Yeah, so again, my grandfather and I used to go to the dump, and on the way back from the dump, he'd always stop off at this little store and pick up a 40 of Old English beer and drink it on the way home. And so I was just a little kid sitting there riding in his truck, just helped him, just went to the dump. I always got paid when I went to the dump with him. I got shit in that store when he got his 40. And on the way back one day, I was looking out my window and I saw this sphere, the see-through sphere, looked just like a bubble. And it was cruising along at the same speed the truck was. And I thought it was a reflection at first, so I rolled down the window and no, about 25 feet right across from the truck, there is a globe, an orb, a see-through orb, perfect sphere, like a bubble. Like if you blow a bubble in those bubble machines, like one of those, I could see it right there. Couldn't see in it, I could just see it. Clean, plain as day. And then I said, Grandpa, what is that? He said, what is what? And I said, that. And I'm pointing right at it. And he said, what are you talking about? And I looked over at him, and he was looking straight. He wasn't looking. And I said, that. And I went back, and it was gone. Why did I tell you that story? Because if you don't fucking make a move, this deal's going to be gone. See what I'm saying? Like I just grabbed a story that's real and applied it to the deal. So all you have to do is just pick a story that's real that you can tell with energy and color. Because if you're lying and there's no connection and they quiz you and all of a sudden you're, stuttering because you fucking lied. Well, dude, now you're stupid because you just took an opportunity to build credibility and you blew it because you wanted to lie with some bullshit story. Okay, don't bullshit your stories. Create your story. And that's why the whole answer is, I can't give you a story, Luigi. Only you can make your story. Because you know you. I don't know you. You know you. And only you know you. People say, oh no, so-and-so knows me. People know me. People don't know you like you know you. Only you know you. And that's the truth. Only you know you. Okay, anybody want to get deep? Can I get a come on? We'll go fucking deep on this one because only I know me. Okay, y'all think you know me. You don't know me. What did I just think? What did I just think? What am I thinking of right now? See, you don't know shit, but guess what? I know. Why? Because I know me.
You're thinking, I'm cool.
Incorrect. I was thinking, this is some good shit right here. It's just might be over a lot of people's heads.
Same thing as I'm cool. Luigi, if you're selling...
Nope, Renee. And to be honest, that's what you were thinking as I was talking.
You were customer success stories?
You were thinking, damn, this dude's freaking cool.
You can always share customer success stories.
Hey, see, Renee's trying to take over my show, but unfortunately, I got the power button. I can just mute his ass like that. And then I say, hey, Paul, go ahead and unmute. You're up. Last question.
Oh, come on. You're killing me.
All right. So is there a way to get a top producing agent that has been with their title rep for 20 plus years and will never, ever open an order with anybody else? Is there a way to get them to give a new person a shot?
Well, you got to ask yourself, how much time and energy is it going to take to get that one agent versus going somewhere else? You got to ask, is that person their brother? Are they related? Is there an incumbent for a reason? And is it worth your energy to try to do that versus there's 12 million other agents out there that you could do that? And so here's the question I would ask you. You ready? This is one of the most powerful questions you can ever. If you get a meeting with this person, you say, look, I know you've been working with this person for 25 years, but I have one question for you. What would you need to see from me to at least make it a tough choice? And you listen. Because what's happening is that question, there's no burden on them at this point. You're also showing them with that question that you're willing to step up to the plate. You're willing to play bigger. And you get also great information. What would you need to see from me to at least make this a tough choice? What would you need to see from me for me to be that number one lender? What would you need to see from me to at least give me one shot? And then they're going to tell you what an A+ on their test looks like.
Yeah.
So think about that from the long term. And remember that question. Use it in there's so many different uses for that question. You want to mute me now, Brad?
Nope, go ahead. I like that answer.
Can you repeat that one more time?
What would you need to see from me to at least make it a tough choice? That's when I drop that question typically when I'm in a situation where it feels like a no-win. It feels like I can't go anywhere. And they're like, yeah, I know my brother's there. Because somebody had their brother in the business. And I said, you know what, it makes sense. I'd probably make Christmas a little awkward. I go, but I got one last question for you. What would you need to see from me to at least make it a tough choice? And I'm telling you, the level of respect that a good salesperson they'll go, man, that's a really good question. And it gets them to think, well, if you could do X, Y, and Z, man, I go, if I could deliver that to you, you're saying you give me a shot? Give me 2 weeks. I appreciate your time. And you get the fuck out of there and you go figure out how to do that. You come back and say, you know what? I like you because you're a person of your word. You're a man of your word. You assume that. I said, here, let me show you what we've done. And you can go in there and do it.
Dude, everybody look at Jay Carter. He's obviously in the pool, but we got it blurred, so you can't really tell. Everybody, this is how you enjoy Closer School Live the best. You light up a cigar, you go out to the pool, and you just chill. Folks, everybody give old Renee a follow on social media. He drops nuggets like this constantly. By the way, he'll be at Closer School Live this weekend. I don't know who's coming, but, that's this weekend. I think the 28th and 29th. Renee's going to be there. I hope to see y'all there. Any last questions for myself or Renee? And by the way, these questions, if I were you in your mind, for next weekend, whenever we ask questions, guys, what you want to ask is shit that can directly solve something for you. You know what I mean? For example, Chat GPT. The better questions you ask AI, the better product it spits out. So if you get really good at asking the right questions, AI can revolutionize your business. But you have to ask, you have to really think about what is the best question? What is the best instructions I can type into this thing? Same thing with this, guys. I've closed millions of dollars of deals. I've built businesses. I'm an entrepreneur from the word go. I have a lot of experience. And whether you're an entrepreneur, right, that knows you just need to be a badass salesperson, or You know, you're in sales of some kind, employee or otherwise. You know, the question is how do we get paid more? Well, you get paid more by doing something you're not currently doing. Aha! See how easy that is? Like, see? Well, no kidding. Well, no kidding. But let's not make it harder than it is. For you guys to get more than you're getting now, you're going to have to do shit different than you're getting now, than you're doing now. So if you say, well, here's what I do. Well, how's that working out for you? Well, here's what I've been doing. Yeah? How's that working? Is that good? You like that? No? Well, not really. Well, then quit worrying about what you're doing. Let's start figuring out what you're not doing. And one of the things we don't do as individuals is sit there and think about what are my problems? What are my issues? Because we like to pretend we don't have any. But what are my issues? And then week to week, we jump on these calls. You're just like, dude, I'm gonna ask Brad if what would he say to this objection? What would he say in this situation? What would he do in this predicament that you're in? Like whatever you're actually in, you know? Like Jackson Gregory over here. What is he, 16, 17? You know, he's still living at home, dude. He don't need to be on here. But guess what? He's smart enough to be on here. So if he says like, you know, what would you do if you were 16 again? Dude, you know what I'd do, Jackson? Number one, I'd start working out every day and eating flawless. I'd get rid of the bullshit Lucky Charms and the nonsense crap.
Specific as you can. Like this, the value of this coaching isn't about hearing Brad do blanket training. It's about asking a really specific question on how would you do this. So Brad, how many years have you been selling?
Since I was probably, honestly, born. But legit, 6.
6 years old. Well, so let's just say that when your first job, so this is a lifetime of sales knowledge from somebody who's done it.
Years.
For somebody who's done it, I would ask a specific question because every single one of these answers, I mean, look, when you guys got specific on the questions, look at the stuff that came out. We couldn't have planned for that because we didn't know what you needed. But the more specific you get on your questions, and I tell people the more selfish you get on calls like this, the more you're going to get out of it and the more you're going to pull out of it. Like, yeah, so there's a question bank. Put those questions in there and even, man, send them to Brad ahead of time. That'll help drive content. But most people aren't proactive enough to do something like that. If you got a list of 10 questions that you wish people would answer, how much easier would that be? So I would get really specific on this stuff because then, you know, even when I'm guesting on these types of things, yeah, send them to Jenna. There you go. Is there a place to gather? Yeah, put them on your phone. Put them right on your phone.
All right, great questions. Great squad. Great information. And go follow Renee at Learn with Renee, or what's your website, Renee?
Learn with Renee is Instagram, and then website is meetrenee.com. MEET, not MEAT. That's my side hustle. MEETrenee.com. Yeah, I made Brad giggle for the first time. Look at that.
Luigi wants to message your onion.
Message you, Onion Renee, for responses to my question.
He wants to DM you in your onion.
He said Luigi, do tomato instead of onion.
Dude, he wants to rub your onion. He wants to bust your onion.
Another victim of autocorrect over here.
He wants to put lotion on your onion. Hey, and by the way, just so you guys realize, we can't be normal like every other, person on the planet. I must give you guys a piece of value that only Bradley would give you as we sign off. And I don't know if you guys are aware of this or not, but everybody's aware of a sphincter, yeah? You know what your sphincter is? Anybody? Everyone's laughing. They're all laughing. Like, sphincter? Like, what's a sphincter? Well, if you don't know what your sphincter is, look at Jackson. He's writing down. Look up sphincter. Everybody knows sphincter, okay? If you don't know what a sphincter is, then you can look it up. But some people are thinking it's the No. Some people think it's the crinkly part of your asshole. It's not, okay? It's not. It's a circular muscle, okay? So believe it or not, your lips are a sphincter. And that's why a lot of you are talking shit all day, every day. Because you're talking out of your sphincter. And we're going to solve that here at Closer School. Fair enough? We're going to get you to stop talking out your sphincter. Okay? Love you guys. See you next Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific. Peace. And you said the problem with the lead business is, what'd you say the problem was?
Yesterday's best lead vendor is today's worst. They're always changing.
Well, again, I'm just getting I'm new into it, so I don't know everything, but I do see that. But I also see pussy salesmen.
Oh, definitely.
You give someone 1,000 leads and they call the first 5 and they're not fucking interested. Or someone said, stop calling me, you fuckers. There's 9 of you have called me so far.